Yes, I think we can start again. I have given 12 minutes, not 10. Okay, then let us now examine item 7b. Examination of the reports of the first regional cycle of periodic reporting by states, parties in Latin America and Caribbean, on the implementation of the convention and on the elements inscribed on the representative list. So I am pleased to see that the committee is examining this year the first regional cycle of periodic reporting undertaken in Latin America and the Caribbean. I believe this is the first time since the periodic reporting mechanism went through its reform. So, Mr. Curtis, may I ask you to present this item to us after the break? Yeah, we have had the break already. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I wasn't sure if we were going to go immediately for another break, but I see we will continue with our work. Indeed, as you said, the committee has not examined an item on the reports of the implementation of the convention since 2018, as the mechanism was paused in order to undertake really quite a major reform based on Decision 12-10. The objective of this reform was to develop an effective results-based monitoring system for the implementation of the convention, as well as a self-monitoring tool for states on their own implementation, and in that way provide a better system, that is better geared to supporting states in that process. So therefore, the reporting cycle is now based on regional rotation every 6 years, rather than 6 years from the date of ratification as it was originally. The periodic reporting form has been revised in alignment with the overall results framework, and customized capacity building materials have been developed to accompany it. You will see that Latin America and the Caribbean was the first region to kickstart this new periodic reporting system in 2020, and the result of this first round is extremely promising. 28 out of 32 states, parties in the region, have indeed submitted their report, which marks an impressive increase on submission rates compared to the past. At 87, which is now at 87.5%, and you may recall that in past reporting cycles, the submission rate of reports was much lower and even went as low as 16% in the 2016 cycle. So as stipulated in Article 29 of the Convention, it is one of the obligations for states parties to submit to the committee a report on the legislative, regulatory and other measures taken for the implementation of this convention. This report should also include updated information on the current status of the elements inscribed on the representative list in the country. Once these reports are examined by the committee, a summary of these reports shall be sent to the following General Assembly. Mr. Chair, with your permission, and in order to provide more detailed information on the implementation and findings of the periodic reporting for this cycle, I would like to invite my colleague, Ms. Do-Yoon Lee, who is the focal point for the new periodic reporting system, to speak.
Yes, go ahead, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Good afternoon. So the implementation of the new periodic reporting system has certainly been a very rich learning experience for a number of different actors who are involved in the process. Allow me now to share just some key points, challenges and opportunities related to this experience. The Latin America and the Caribbean region launched its implementation right in the middle of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020. So all in-person capacity building activities, which were initially planned at the regional, sub-regional level, had to be unfortunately cancelled. This required substantially a redesigning of the capacity building material, which had to be adapted to an online format. Ultimately, with the support of the Category 2 Center in Latin America and the Caribbean, Crespial, a 6-week online course in English and in Spanish was delivered, successfully delivered over May and June 2020. All of the focal points that were designated by the different countries in the region participated in this course and acquired the necessary knowledge and skills that required for completing the periodic report exercise, and that includes data generation and participatory methodologies. In fact, the capacity building support actually, it raised some unexpected yet positive results. For example, by the fact that it was a 6-week online course, which was a longer term period, allowed the focal points to foster a very strong peer-to-peer exchange and learning among themselves. The training also raised very strong awareness about the importance of a wider consultation and participatory methodologies related to periodic reporting. Of course, there were also many challenges that were encountered on the way due to the wide range and complexity of issues. Now, Mr. Chairperson, with your permission, we actually propose hearing the diversity of these experiences directly from the voices of the focal points and coordinators themselves. We have prepared a short clip presenting the testimonies from countries of Colombia, Jamaica, Mexico, and Peru. May we?
Hello and greetings, I'm Bernard Janke.
Mi name is Edali Quiroz.
Andrés Forero Rueda.
Soy Fiorella Arteta.
Periodic report really allows us to benchmark where we are in terms of implementation of the 2003 convention.
Y también nos dimos cuenta, ¿no?, de la gran transversalidad que tiene el PCI a nivel nacional, ¿no? Porque no solamente está en el sector educación, sino está en el sector nosotros de producción, que está vinculado con actividades como pesquería, comercio, también otros ministerios como agricultura, el mismo Ministerio de Salud, ¿no?
The fact that as Latin American countries, we were learning together and had the opportunity to share our own experiences and challenges was very insightful, as many of us face similar circumstances and thus could build upon solutions together.
We carried out 2 translation exercises. One, translation from English to Spanish, sometimes in contrast to French, since the language structure is very similar. And 2, reinterpretation of the formal questions to ones with more local terms and content.
Pero también tuvimos dificultades, por ejemplo, en comunicarnos con aquellas comunidades de portadores que no tienen un acceso a Internet estable o no cuentan con uno. En ese sentido, tuvimos que, bueno, se fortaleció la articulación que tenemos con las direcciones desconcentradas de cultura, que de verdad han sido un actor muy importante para poder desarrollar e implementar este informe periódico, y ellos a su vez con autoridades locales.
Was the lack of clearly organized information in relation to the various indicators and as such a way. This required a lot of collaboration and time dedication on behalf of the ICH group of the Ministry of Culture of Colombia and other collaborating bodies and organizations.
NGOs have tended to work more in terms of environmental issues rather than cultural issues. So that did pose a challenge, and it was difficult to answer questions related to that broader thematic.
De la pandemia nos afectó en diferentes niveles, lo cual pues impidió que pudiéramos implementar la metodología que teníamos pensado desde el Ministerio de Cultura, que era asistir a hacer entrevistas presenciales, y bueno, que se había impedido y tuvimos que cambiar la metodología, ¿no?
En ese sentido, creo que también el informe periódico debe ser visto como una tarea no de cada 6 años, sino una tarea que debe de estar en constante construcción y retroalimentación por parte de los estados.
Entonces, lo fundamental es enfocarse mucho en el proceso de hacer un proceso transparente de diálogo, de participación, de encuentro con todas esas personas que contribuyen.
I hope you enjoyed the clip. So after submission of these 28 reports, what happened next? As you know, with the online reporting form, which is structured around 26 core indicators and 86 assessment factors from the overall results framework, a really rich dimension of data was generated through these reports. So since May, we have been actually processing and analyzing these data with a data specialist. This was then followed by an in-depth quantitative and qualitative content analysis by a collaborative research team. This team was composed of an experienced facilitator and also a competent UNESCO chair in Mexico. The analytical overview that you see in Annex 1 illustrates these divergent and convergent trends and key challenges and opportunities related to safeguarding living heritage in the region and also in the different countries. For example, as you can see in Figure 1, a high level of community participation has been reported, with specific attention to the rights and interests of indigenous communities. As you can see in also Figure 2, language is also considered as an important vehicle for living heritage, with a concrete example of policies integrating multicultural or intercultural bilingual education in school curricula. Many countries also reported having policies or measures for inclusive economic development that include living heritage safeguarding. Cooperation on the safeguarding of living heritage happens equally across sectors beyond culture, such as education or development sectors, and at the regional level. Of course, some challenges to the transmission and safeguarding were also identified. We may highlight here the serious economic challenges, for example, for the practitioners themselves, which have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. While we encourage you to read the analytical overview for more key observations, I think it would be good to remind you also that a more detailed report will be presented to the committee at its 17th session next year. Now, while the region of Latin America and the Caribbean concludes its first reporting cycle, we also have two other regions that are currently in different phases of periodic reporting. These are Europe and the Arab states. As you can see, this is the dynamic state of implementation of periodic reporting. State parties in Europe have completed the capacity building activities, undergoing the submission of their reports this year. In parallel, for the Arab region, a training for facilitators was organized in October 2021 to better prepare for the training of focal points in early 2022. As the periodic reporting system reaches its third year of implementation, we learn by experience and improvements are underway in order to better enhance the support to states. We hope that the reformed system will help states not only to assess their current safeguarding measures and set their own safeguarding targets, but also to customize future strategies and to be able to track the progress of implementation from one reporting cycle to the next. I thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Toyun. It is encouraging to hear that the first regional cycle of periodic reporting has made a significant step forward. I would like to applaud the states parties in Latin America and Caribbean for their efforts and achievement. Well done. And thank you very much. I now open the floor. Does any committee member wish to take the floor at this stage before the examination of the draft decision? Yes, I can see, yes, so many hands raising after the tea. Yes? Shaksia? Yeah, kindly, Mr. Curtis, can you read, please, the countries first, then they are ready, and we can allocate the time for them.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will now read the list of committee members who've asked for the floor. Czechia, Brazil, Japan, Republic of Korea, Sweden, Netherlands, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Azerbaijan. And now, Sri Lanka as well.
Yes, then starting with Czech Republic, yes. Czechia. Over to you, Czechia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The delegation of Czechia would like to thank the Secretariat for the presentation of the examination of first year of regional cycle of periodic reporting. Congratulations to the entire Latin America and Caribbean region for a successful periodic reporting. It sets a great example for the rest of us and challenges us to do as well as you did with our cycle. We appreciate how the Secretariat dealt with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, in particular, that the Secretariat prepared and adapted online training of focal points. It turned out that the reform of reporting on the basis of regional rotation system was a providential step that, when implemented online, facilitates attend of more participants working in a second language that can be adapted annually, and the overcoming of the time shift between Paris and the state parties. The added value has then been the development of training materials using a variety of participatory approaches and tools. We understand that the exchange of national experiences with safeguarding measures within the region using regional cooperation and with a wide range of stakeholders was a great benefit. New above-mentioned efforts have undoubtedly contributed to increased reporting, together with the fact that the Secretariat has complied with the request of a large number of state parties to allow the report to be completed by mid-March 2021. While the reporting process is complex and requires consultation with a wide range of stakeholders, which requires sufficient human and financial resources, we believe it has been a viable tool for better implementation of the Convention, more effective implementation of ICH cultural policies, and better monitoring of safeguarding practices. At the same time, it should be acknowledged that the form is very complex, and it would not hurt to simplify it wherever possible in the future. We admit that the main conclusions of the first cycle analysis in the Latin America and Caribbean region are exciting, so we await with great interest the evaluation of the complete first cycle for all regions in 2025. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Czechia. Now, let me go to Brazil, followed by Japan. Now over to you, Brazil.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We would like to congratulate our colleagues in Latin America and the Caribbean for their efforts and dedication in delivering the Convention's periodic report, as we are aware of the challenges faced in the achievement of this task. Our public servants, civil society partners, bearers, and practitioners had to double their articulation efforts to produce consolidated reports while confronting the COVID-19 pandemic. Even so, and being the first region to submit the periodic reports in the regional rotation system, we have navigated the novelty with success, raising the report submission rate to almost 90%. We maintain that this regional approach is a useful tool for fostering cooperation, as well as for the formation and the strengthening of networks. It also provides a common ground for comparisons, which casts light upon regional obstacles, strengths, and potentialities. In this sense, we should acknowledge the indispensable role played by CRESPIAL, the Regional Center for the Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Latin America. Following the submission of the reports, CRESPIAL promoted a survey and a regional meeting, contributing to broaden the view on various aspects of the periodic reporting process and to identify common regional challenges. In a few words, we would like to highlight some of these aspects based on our experience in Brazil. Data collection and assessment of the thematic areas of the report demand an important degree of interinstitutional articulation. Time limits, the pandemic crisis, and other internal factors have impacted the articulation efforts made by FAM, the Brazilian National Historical and Artistic Heritage Institute. We relied almost exclusively on pre-existing available information and on restricted consultations to our own heritage body of experts. For instance, even though there is a heritage education sector in IFAM, we do not maintain any kind of updated information sources on the general picture of basic, medium, and superior curricula on cultural heritage around the country. We understand that a more comprehensive view of the implementation of the convention could have been offered if all three government levels and other institutions and scientific networks had been more actively involved in the process. On the other hand, the widest possible participation of bearers in answering the report on their inscribed elements allowed successful results. Virtual workshops, meetings, and surveys were carried out in more than 20 Brazilian states and in all 5 regions of the country. A special public thanks must be given to our committed body of civil servants, without whom this accomplishment wouldn't be possible. In addition, some report sections seemed to be redundant, and we believe time and effort could be spared with some mild cuts. Finally, it's important to consider the time and resources spent on documents translation. Mr. Chairman, producing the report stressed the need to build interinstitutional understandings on intangible cultural heritage and raise awareness about the principles and responsibilities regarding the 2003 Convention. 6 years is a period that covers changes in government at different levels of the public administration. It is thus expected that the interinstitutional articulation remains a challenge in the next report cycles, and larger time limits would favor more comprehensive results, as well as more accurate targets on the implementation of the convention. Bearing that in mind, we would suggest that public administrations and the convention secretariat should be in touch about the periodic report at least 2 years before the submission date, and that capacity building activities shall start on the first month of this 2-year period. As a general and last comment, periodic reporting worked as a management methodology, thanks to which Brazil could systematize points to be improved and goals to be achieved. It also has highlighted the transversal and multi-level governance needed for upgrading the convention's public awareness and implementation. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Assistant Director General for Culture, Mr. Secretary of the Convention, dear CRESPIAL colleagues, we thank you for your efforts during the cycle of the periodic reporting of the 2003 Convention, and we keep available for collaboration and knowledge exchange on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brazil, for your comments. Now I would like to invite Japan, followed by Republic of Korea. Over to you, Japan now.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous serons assez brefs. Le Japon souhaite saluer la soumission du rapport du premier cycle régional de rapports périodiques des États parties d'Amérique latine et des Caraïbes. Et nous nous réjouissons du résultat positif, avec la soumission des rapports de 28 États parties, sur un total de 32 rapports attendus. Nous nous félicitons de l'effet positif qui a été créé, comme un forum d'échange entre pairs et d'apprentissage entre les points focaux nationaux qui devrait renforcer la coopération dans le domaine de la sauvegarde du patrimoine culturel immatériel dans la région. Nous espérons que les leçons positives qui ont été tenues de ce premier exercice seront appliquées dans d'autres régions. Merci.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And now I would like to invite Republic of Korea, followed by Sweden. Over to you, Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the floor. As a member of committee, Republic of Korea would like to congratulate you on your election as a chairperson, and I'm confident that this committee will bring fruitful conclusions under your able leadership. And thank the distinguished committee member Brazil for the detailed explanation regarding the periodic report. And let us extend our congratulations to all parties related for the first successful cycle of the periodic report in Latin America and Caribbean states, despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. We highly appreciate that Mr. Tim Curtis and Madame Doyeon Lee from the Secretariat actively coordinate with the state parties in renewing the overall periodic reporting system with more flexibility. We believe that such efforts could increase the submission rate of the state parties. We are also pleased that the online platform with the support of Korean government has played a significant role in this process. Although the inscription of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity gains huge attention in the practice of 2003 convention, the periodic report by the state parties regarding their implementation of the convention and the current state of inscribed elements on the representative list should also be underlined. The year 2020 was the first year to adopt the new regional periodic report and submit the reports through the online platform. I once again thank Latin America and the Caribbean state parties for their successful communications and cooperation. And I hope more state parties could learn a lot from the experience for preparing and operating periodic reports of their own. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Republic of Korea, for your comments. And now I would like to invite Sweden, followed by the Netherlands. Over to you, Sweden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Sweden would like to start with acknowledging and congratulating the many Latin American and Caribbean states successfully submitting reports under this item, as well as we also would like to thank the Secretariat for its useful document with the analytical and the general observations, as well as observation on the trends. And actually I would like to thank also for the almost live reporting in the form of clips, which gives almost color to the usual white and black paper documents. Thank you very much for that. It is the first time we see the result of the new reporting cycle. At this stage, we only would like to say how rich and how useful this is for the continuous implementation of the convention. Of course, we note all challenges that we have in common, and not the least, the ones connected to the COVID pandemic. Reading about these challenges, we cannot but also note that the pandemic itself also gives leverage to the understanding of the role of intangible cultural heritage. Paradoxically or not paradoxically, the pandemic itself makes communities over the world reflect on its own societies and ways of living. It is a fact to keep dwelling on. On the reporting itself, and since Sweden is right in the midst of doing it, we see there might be potential of clarifying some elements in the questionnaire and also work on the internal pedagogical side of the new periodic reporting system. I stop there. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Sweden. And next, Netherlands, followed by Switzerland. So over to you, Netherlands, now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The delegation of the Netherlands congratulates the member states in Latin America and the Caribbean for their periodic reports. And we would like to thank the research team for the thorough analysis. We recognize a lot of the findings and conclusions, especially after having done the periodic reporting ourselves this year. As the analysis states, there are both challenges and opportunities. With almost 100 questions, we have to say the periodic reporting process was quite challenging and extremely time-consuming. However, we also agree that the periodic reporting exercise is an effective tool in raising awareness on the importance of broader consultation and collaboration with relevant stakeholders. For the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the process offered a great opportunity to exchange between the respective countries in the Kingdom, the Netherlands, Curaçao, Aruba, and Sint Maarten. But it also boosts regional networking between European countries. The training model and the exchange of ideas by focal points, representatives of ministries and experts have paid off. It is great that 28 of the 32 reports have been submitted on time. Congratulations. Concluding, we have some questions and a final remark. The analysis gives important insights into the needs of state parties. In what ways will the analysis be used to provide in areas where capacity building is needed? Also, a lot of data follows from the periodic reports, which ideally could be made accessible to stakeholders and those interested in the data. How will the UNESCO Secretariat, given the ongoing constraints in terms of human and financial resources, prioritize this? And concluding, we endorse the importance of an exhaustive analysis of ICH safeguarding activities in small islands and developing states. Sharing experiences and operating in a local network would be very helpful for the Caribbean parts of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. We therefore hope the Dutch Caribbean islands will be included. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Netherlands. And next, I would like to invite Switzerland, followed by Azerbaijan. Over to you, Switzerland.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Chers collègues, la Suisse félicite les États parties d'Amérique latine et des Caraïbes qui ont soumis leur rapport dans le cadre de ce premier cycle de rapports périodiques. Le taux de soumission des rapports considérablement élevé est un signal très positif et très réjouissant. La Suisse remercie le secrétariat pour les efforts investis dans la réforme du système de rapport en alignant ce système sur le cadre global de résultats dans une perspective de durabilité. Nous saluons également l'accompagnement des points focaux pour la réalisation de cet exercice en organisant des formations en ligne. La Suisse a participé à ces ateliers et nous avons noté avec grande satisfaction que cette approche a permis l'émergence de bonnes dynamiques régionales d'échange et de collaboration fructueuse. À juste titre et en écho aux États ayant fait l'exercice, le document du secrétariat met en évidence les défis, voire les difficultés rencontrées lors de l'établissement du rapport. La complexité et la densité du formulaire en ligne, le langage utilisé, le niveau parfois un peu abstrait des questions, les ressources conséquentes à mobiliser pour préparer ce rapport, ou encore l'exigence d'un processus participatif en sont quelques exemples. Il nous semble essentiel de reconnaître ces défis et d'identifier des solutions et de chercher à améliorer constamment le système de soumission des rapports périodiques. La Suisse souhaiterait voir une simplification du formulaire en ligne pour faciliter l'accès à la participation dans l'élaboration du rapport. Par ailleurs, le secrétariat mentionne la qualité considérable de données et de contenus générés par ces rapports. Leur traitement, mais aussi leur analyse et valorisation représentent un défi ultérieur. Pour atteindre l'ambition d'un cadre global de résultats significatifs, une attention particulière doit être accordée à la gestion de cette information. Dans ce sens, nous saluons l'annonce d'un rapport analytique qui sera présenté lors de la 17e session du comité. En même temps, il nous apparaît essentiel d'établir dans ce dernier une évaluation du ratio entre coût et efficacité de ce nouveau système de rapport. Je vous remercie de votre attention.
Thank you very much for your comments, Switzerland. And next, I would like to invite Azerbaijan, followed by Sri Lanka. Over to you, Azerbaijan, now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Azerbaijan welcomes the efforts of the Secretariat in launching the first cycle of the periodic reporting for the region of Latin America and the Caribbean. And we congratulate the Secretariat and the member states concerned for having accomplished the activities in the region of Latin America and the Caribbean, despite the ongoing pandemic. We consider it a great achievement in terms of raising awareness of the related member states, of the opportunities offered by the implementation of the convention in their countries. Our delegation has appreciated the format and quality of the overview of reports annexed to the document. We note with great interest the trends, opportunities, and achievements identified in the analysis of the reports, especially the experience of the states in Latin America and the Caribbean in the field of interregional cooperation at various levels. We are confident that the results of this reporting cycle will continue guiding the states of the region in the implementation of 2003 Convention, but also allow other countries to learn from these experiences. Azerbaijan also welcomes the ongoing efforts of the Secretariat in implementing the periodic reporting cycle in the region of Europe, in which my country is currently participating. And we hope that this cycle will also reveal an interesting set of trends in safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage specific to the region of Europe. Finally, Mr. Chair, our delegation has noted with great interest the increased use of Intangible Cultural Heritage Fund, which is monitored under Indicator 26, and commends the Secretariat for its efforts in further facilitating the access of member states to international assistance mechanism. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Azerbaijan, that encouraging comments from you. And now Sri Lanka, I invite Sri Lanka, followed by Peru. Over to you, Sri Lanka now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving me this opportunity. Sri Lanka would like to thank the Secretariat for introducing this new monitoring tool and congratulate our colleagues in the region of Latin America and the Caribbean for carrying out the implementation of this extremely useful tool under the most challenging conditions. This exercise is very useful to all of us as we can learn a lot about better ways of implementation of our own plans in the spirit of the 2003 Convention. The capacity building activities conducted under this program in the face of a pandemic is extremely impressive. It shows us that there are alternative ways of doing things to achieve the goals of the convention under even the worst challenging situations in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sri Lanka. And now, Peru, I invite Peru, followed by Panama. Over to you, Peru, now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, for giving me the floor. Despite the fact that it was a challenge to develop the periodic reporting to the short time and the complex circumstances due to the COVID, this report has served us to strengthen the communication with the communities and other actors of the public and private sectors. We also like to emphasize the great work of the PRESPIAL in the coordination and implementation of the online training held last year. Without this training, it will have been difficult for us to achieve it, this reported in time. Even so, it will be important to continue with the process of strengthening capacities and with regard to these reports and how it could be possible to establish mechanisms for the inclusion of other important issues. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Peru. And now let me invite Panama. Over to you, Panama, followed by Uruguay and Colombia. Let me give them a chance a little later. But now I invite Panama.
Thanks, Mr. President. The high evaluation of the periodical report from Latin America and the Caribbean, and we especially value the backing and support through training on procedures and use the virtual platform. Was very complex, but the results were greatly enriched by the opportunity to share all communication problems in each country of the region during the pandemic and the alternative and mutual experience. We urge the Secretariat to give us the opportunity to share an immediate progress session in the next evaluation cycle before the 5-year cycle is complete. The periodic report format and contents makes it possible for us to sustain budgets, public policies, and the inclusion for intangible cultural heritage contents in education and research at all levels. This report models allows us to clearly measure how much we have achieved and how much we still need to work into each topic. Thanks to the Secretariat, to PRESPIAL and Japan for the economic support to the periodical report, and Sri Lanka for this meeting with beautiful element of your intangible cultural heritage.
Thank you very much. I think now I feel giving the floor to Mr. Curtis. Would you like to comment about the other people's ideas and opinions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to say, we've noted a lot of important comments and some questions. But if I may say so, it's very encouraging to hear those comments. And we are fully very aware of the complexities involved of the new reporting system. But hearing now the states from Latin America who have finished it, we feel very encouraged that it's been worth, I remind you, several years of efforts to set up the new system. And we are now in the first round of periodic reporting. We heard from Brazil that a 2-year planning might be helpful. And in that sense, we have to apologize to the Latin American and Caribbean region, since they were the first region. And being the first, of course, we're always faced, when you do something for the first time, you're always going to find troubles to smooth out the system. So perhaps that is also maybe a signal to other regions to perhaps start thinking about the new forms. We heard from several European countries who are currently now implementing the report, the need to simplify the forms or to clarify the questions, or to develop the insights into the needs of state parties, and also some questions of cost effectiveness. Indeed, the overall results framework on which the periodic report is based was not initially intended to have every question relevant to every state in the same way. It tried to capture all of the possible indicators that might exist given the variety and diversity of sizes, configurations of various states. So we note and we take fully on board, and as I said earlier, that we see all of this as a learning and refining process, and we hope to improve the system, and we will be looking at simplifying as well where possible, without perhaps losing the richness of data. But we are starting something new. It's something large. I feel it's incredibly encouraging. I repeat what I've said before, that the implementation of the convention at the national level is, I believe, the most important aspect, is really what the convention is all about. It's about what countries are doing in their country to safeguard intangible cultural heritage. The rest, it comes afterwards. So I think this periodic reporting is very important in that regards, and I really thank the many colleagues in Latin America and the Caribbean who made efforts, and also to thank in particular Crespial, who worked very hard to accompany the training, and of course, as we heard, the Republic of Korea, who made a generous contribution several years ago, some 300,000 United States dollars, which has allowed us to work on the online format and to have the rollout of this process. But to sum up, we hear that there was another question about the prioritization in terms of sharing the data and how we'll share the data. That's one of the recommendations under the iOS evaluation. So I think perhaps now I won't go into great detail, but we do hear the need to refine, and we fully accept that we will hopefully keep improving. Next year, the rollout for the capacity building approach will be in the Arab states, and I would take this opportunity to remind states that we're still looking for some support to roll out the capacity building in the Arab states. Mr. Chairperson, I think I'll end my intervention here. Thank you.
I think you explained it very nicely, and also I must also congratulate this Latin America and Caribbean service, what they have done. So congratulations and thank you very much for your effort. And now, there are 3 other countries, that is Uruguay, Colombia, and France. So let me invite first Uruguay for their comments, please.
Thank you very much. I need to be habilitated for the camera because, well, I can speak anyway. Thank you very much for all of you to share this time together. Thank you, Sri Lanka, UNESCO, and Crespial. In this short time that we have been allotted, I want to make some reflections on what the Uruguayan team learned preparing the UNESCO periodic report. In the first place, it helped us to become aware that most of the actions to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage arise from individuals or social and educational. Okay, thank you. In the first place, it helped us to become aware that most of the actions to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage arise from individuals or social and educational organizations that are not even familiar with the concept of intangible cultural heritage or its theoretical framework. Second, we realized that the intangible cultural heritage concept is unknown or very basically known by the 3 levels of our country's government: municipal, departmental, and national. And this is our responsibility, although some very valuable actions have been recorded. Third, by writing the periodic report, we realized that although we have studied and reflect a lot on participatory action research, the sustainability of the participation and involvement actions of the bearers continue to be a challenge. Fourth, the report helped us to become aware that we must substantially improve the strategies to communicate the importance of the intangible cultural heritage to the public and political sector, which is the one who will ultimately make the decisions on cultural policies. Fifth, the principles of periodic reports have helped us to now to organize our work in a better way and help us to visualize all the work fronts that it involves, as well as the importance of defining performance indicators. That I think is very, very important point. Last but not least, it generated one more opportunity to engage in dialogue with the bearers of the intangible cultural heritage to discuss with them, to seek together new strategies referred to as legal framework, educational plans, economic resources, insertion of the intangible cultural heritage in environmental issues, etc., that considerably improve the quality life and sustainable development of Uruguayan people. Thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you very much, Uruguay. And now I would like to invite Colombia, followed by France. So over to you, Colombia, now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We would like to express our gratitude to yourself and to the state of Sri Lanka for presiding over this committee, as well as the exceeding an excellent job that the Secretariat did to prepare this 16th session of the committee. The delegation of Colombia would like to state the monumental importance of the turning point that has represented the development of this first cycle of periodic reporting on the implementation of the 2003 Convention, which the American and the Caribbean Regional Group had the opportunity of developing and creating a groundwork and learning opportunity for future states on how to engage with the mentioned mechanism. Never before during the almost 20 years of existence of the 2003 Convention has there been a better structured roadmap for understanding where most of the achievements and challenges lay in terms of safeguarding the cultural diversity as the one laid out by the Global Results Framework in which this reporting mechanism is based. Nevertheless, it cannot be understated how challenging the exercise was to carry out in such tiring time as this pandemic year we had. However, the swiftness in which the capacity building workshops and materials were adopted for the new formats must be highlighted. We would like to call the attention, as this Brazil and Peru as well, to the role played by our Category 2 Center, Crespial, and how it operated as an important platform for dialogue, joint learning, and understanding of how each state party were finding the exercise quite challenging, actually. Additionally, in Colombia's experience, the preparation of the reporting process was an opportunity for reflection on how information for decision-making can be sometimes underrated, prioritizing more immediate responses and initiatives instead of promoting a more planned approach toward achieving clearly defined indicators as those stated by the Global Results Framework. During the following cycle, we would hope to be learning more from the further experiences, especially on how to gather data and report on indicators that challenge state parties to understand the role of the each safeguarding in creating broader contexts of well-being, particularly in that relates to promoting a more peaceful coexistence. We hope to work alongside our fellow state parties, the Secretariat of the Convention and civil society stakeholders on improving the data gathering process on this aspect that expands the scope of the Convention beyond ICH safeguarding for its own sake. We look forward also to seeing how the reporting mechanism evolves and the transformation it generates on how we understand the importance of the 2003 Convention and how we approach its implementation. And as we move closer to the 2030 deadline of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, and we wish all members of the committee and the other stakeholders present today a very fruitful session.
Thank you very much, Colombia, for your comments. And now I invite France, followed by Jamaica. Over to you, France, now.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Donc la France remercie le secrétariat pour la formation très utile qui a été dispensée aux points de contact nationaux sur la façon dont remplir les rapports nationaux. Cela dit, nous souhaitons nous joindre aux remarques de la Suisse pour faire part de certaines difficultés nouvelles par ailleurs qui découlent de cette réforme. Par exemple, la difficulté d'appréhender certains indicateurs ainsi que le travail important et parfois malaisé de pédagogie qui devait être réalisé en direction des communautés et des acteurs du patrimoine culturel immatériel. Merci.
Thank you very much, France, for your comments. And now I will invite Jamaica, followed by Côte d'Ivoire. So, please, Jamaica, over to you now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to express our gratitude, and I accept Mr. Curtis's apologies. But seriously, it was a very useful exercise for us. This is the second periodic report that Jamaica was submitting, but the training in particular for the new format and tying it into the operational framework, while it did pose some challenges, it really allowed us to set a baseline in terms of our implementation of the convention and the status of ICH elements within Jamaica. So that we found very useful. Despite the complexity of the format that we had to work with and some of the technical challenges in terms of actually uploading the information. And in that regard, I really would like to express our gratitude to the technical team at UNESCO who helped us to overcome some of those technical glitches. It was, I think it was the first time that we're using this particular platform. And of course, you know, the teething pains were sometimes painful, but happily we were able to overcome that. And I really want to express our gratitude to UNESCO and the technical team, and also the support given by Korea in some of the preparations for coming up with this new reporting format. Some deliberations that I had the honor to have taken part in. So we did have some kind of heads up in terms of what we were to expect. And going forward, this allows us to fine-tune even more our planning in terms of the implementation of the convention. COVID, of course, interrupted a lot of our plans. We had initial discussions with some of the stakeholders. We were unable to do the extent of consultations that we had anticipated. But nonetheless, we managed to put together a fairly comprehensive status report on the state of intangible cultural heritage and the various elements in Jamaica. And we really thank UNESCO for its support in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Jamaica. And next, I would like to invite Côte d'Ivoire and followed by Honduras. But before that, I would like to mention that Jamaica pointed out very correctly the strong dedication of this Secretariat people here, the technical people, the others, extremely high dedication they are having. So I thank all of them, including the able secretary, and our additional director general is also here. So we must thank, for the whole world should thank this secretariat. They are doing a wonderful job. I'm extremely happy. Give a round of applause, everybody, to this secretariat and the people. Yes, thank you very much. Jamaica, you very correctly pointed out that. And now I invite Côte d'Ivoire. Over to you, Côte d'Ivoire.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. À votre suite, effectivement, je voudrais donc remercier, effectivement, féliciter le secrétariat pour tout le travail abattu. Monsieur le Président, je voudrais féliciter les États qui ont soumis ces rapports. C'est la première région à élaborer donc ces rapports depuis la réforme du système des rapports périodiques. Ce n'est pas une activité aisée, comme ne l'est pas non plus les efforts pour sauvegarder, assurer la sauvegarde du PCI. C'est un travail quotidien qui a donné donc la qualité de ces rapports qui ont été soumis par ces États parties. Ces rapports sont une mine d'informations devant nous situer sur les efforts des États et surtout de nos communautés pour maintenir vivants nos éléments du PCI et consolider davantage donc la mise en œuvre et la Convention 2003 qui nous réunit ce jour. Ces rapports sont des outils importants dans tout le processus de réforme subséquent à la réflexion portant sur les mécanismes d'inscription qui est en cours, les transferts d'une liste à une autre. Nous espérons que la région Afrique pourra s'en inspirer et pourquoi pas bénéficier aussi d'un renforcement de capacité pour améliorer ces rapports afin de fournir des informations actualisées, notamment ce qui contribuerait davantage à une sauvegarde assurée du PCI dans cette partie du monde. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Côte d'Ivoire. And now I would like to invite Honduras. Thank you. Over to you, Honduras, now.
Excelencias, representantes de los Estados partes, respetables miembros del Comité Intergubernamental para la Salvaguardia del Patrimonio Cultural Inmaterial, Secretariado de la Convención, señoras y señores. En Honduras, la implementación de la Convención 2003 sigue constituyendo un desafío. Si bien hemos logrado realizar diversas acciones significativas en materia de salvaguardia del patrimonio cultural inmaterial, aún es un reto articular todas estas acciones y establecer procesos que sean sistemáticos. En este sentido, las recientes gestiones van contribuyendo a lograrlo. Reiteramos nuestro agradecimiento a la UNESCO por el apoyo brindado este año, al seleccionar a nuestro país junto a Filipinas para la implementación del proyecto piloto de capacitación sobre la salvaguardia del patrimonio cultural inmaterial y la reducción de riesgos de desastres. En Honduras, el proyecto se articuló en dos líneas principales. Por un lado, talleres de fortalecimiento de capacidades y por otro, un ejercicio práctico sobre inventarios comunitarios del patrimonio cultural inmaterial con enfoque en reducción del riesgo de desastres. A través de este inventario, identificamos prácticas culturales que reflejan conocimientos y saberes tradicionales que juegan un papel fundamental en el desarrollo de estrategias de prevención y respuesta ante situaciones de emergencia, poniendo de manifiesto la relevancia de este patrimonio en la formulación de propuestas y medidas de recuperación, sostenibilidad medioambiental y resiliencia comunitaria. El proyecto culminó con éxito y para el Estado de Honduras se convirtió en una guía que conducirá a la implementación de un proceso más sistemático de identificación, documentación y registro de nuestro patrimonio cultural inmaterial. Y también esperamos sea una referencia para posteriores trabajos impulsados desde la UNESCO. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Ecuador now. Yes, that was Honduras. Now I would like to invite Ecuador. Over to you, Ecuador.
Gracias, señor presidente, por permitirme expresar unas palabras a nombre del Ecuador en esta sesión de la 16ª reunión del Comité Intergubernamental para la Salvaguardia del PCI. Dado que esta es la primera vez que nuestra delegación ha tomado la palabra, quiero felicitarle y a los miembros del Buró por su elección y por la manera en que usted conduce la sesión, así como felicitar a la Secretaría y al Director de Cultura por el trabajo realizado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to say a few words on behalf of Ecuador at this session of the 16th meeting of the Intergovernmental Committee of the Safeguarding of the ICH. Since this is the first time our delegation has taken the floor, I would like to congratulate you and the members of the Bureau for your election and for the way in which you're conducting the session, as well as congratulate the Secretariat and the Director of Culture for the work done.
El pasillo es en esencia un poema musicalizado. Actualmente es una expresión de la identidad musical mestiza del Ecuador y debido a la migración de ecuatorianos al exterior se ha difundido e interpretado en varios países del mundo. Desde hace más de una década, el Instituto Nacional de Patrimonio Cultural ha venido trabajando en la investigación de este género musical como patrimonio cultural inmaterial.
The pasillo is essentially a poem set to music. Currently, it is an expression of Ecuador mestizo musical identity, and due to the migration of Ecuadorians abroad, it has been spread and interpreted in several countries around the world. For over a decade, the National Institute of Cultural Heritage has been working on the research of this musical genre from its heritage perspective.
En el 2018, Ecuador incorporó al pasillo ecuatoriano en la lista representativa del patrimonio cultural inmaterial del Ecuador. Y desde entonces ha venido trabajando fuertemente en la construcción del expediente técnico internacional. Este reconocimiento al pasillo como patrimonio cultural inmaterial de la humanidad sería la oportunidad y una gran responsabilidad para todos los ecuatorianos para trabajar con mayor fuerza por valorar y salvaguardar nuestro patrimonio cultural. Muchísimas gracias.
On 2018, Ecuador incorporated the Ecuadorian pasillo into the representative list of the Intangible Cultural Heritage of Ecuador, and since then has worked on the construction of its international technical file. This recognition of pasillo's intangible cultural heritage of humanity will be an opportunity and a great responsibility for all Ecuadorians, encouraging us to work harder to value and safeguard all cultural heritage. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think now, do you want to say anything? No, yes. I would like to thank all of you all. You're very much encouraging the entire Secretariat and everybody all over the world. So I would like to thank you all for sharing your encouraging and inspiring experiences. It's wonderful. So dear colleagues, I think that we are ready to move now to the draft decision of this item. Please refer to the draft decision in paragraph 25. Can you see it on the screen now, please? Yes, you can see now, 16.7.b. Yes. May I ask the committee to adopt draft decision 16.7b, paragraph by paragraph? We'll go to that paragraph by paragraph. Now let me, paragraph 1. Citing the document we have examined. Yeah, do I see any objections from any member? No. So I adopt it, adopted. Paragraph 2, recalling relevant articles of the Convention and Chapter 5 of the operational directives. That is paragraph 2. Yes, I see no objections. So I adopt it, adopted. Paragraph 3, further recalling the set of decisions concerning the periodic reporting reform. That is paragraph 3. Just again, no objections. I adopt it. Adopted. Paragraph 4. Understanding the importance of periodic reporting as a key monitoring tool to assess safeguarding measures at the national level. That is paragraph 4. Again, I see no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 5, expressing our satisfaction for the fruitful implementation of the first reporting cycle, and especially the high submission rate of reports. Yes, no objections. Adopted. Paragraph 6, let us congratulate the 28 states parties in Latin America and the Caribbean who have successfully submitted their report. Congratulations, Latin America and Caribbean. Yes, I see no objections, therefore I adopt it. Adopted. Paragraph 7. Shall we also appreciate Secretariat's effort to support state parties in this exercise through capacity building and follow-up. Paragraph 7. Yes. Any objections? No objections. So I adopted. Paragraph 8 takes note of the challenges encountered during the implementation of periodic reporting, and once again appreciates the Secretariat for its countermeasures.
Sorry.
Okay, do you have any objections about that? No, so I adopted. Paragraph 9 welcomes the key findings of the analytical overview of the reports. That is paragraph 9, including the common trends, challenges, opportunities. It also takes note that a further detailed analytical report will be presented to the committee at its next session. Are there any objections for that? Paragraph 9? No. So I adopted. Paragraph 10 stresses the importance of active involvement of communities and a wide range of stakeholders in the reporting process. That is paragraph 10. I see no objections. Again, I adopted. Then come to finally paragraph 11. Deciding to submit to the General Assembly at its 9th session the summary of reports examined this year. Yeah, that is 9. Yes, I see no objections, so I adopted. Now we have adopted each of the paragraphs and now need to adopt the decision as a whole. Yeah, seeing no objections, I therefore declare decision 16.com7.b adopted as it appears on the screens. 16.com7b. Yes, I adopt it. So, dear members of the committee, we have now completed the examination of item 7b. So, I think, are we proceeding to the next here? Yes, I think now the time is 5 o'clock in Paris. We have only 15 minutes. And therefore, let us go to 7C, right? Yeah. And the rest tomorrow, and we'll continue. Well, let me start with 7C. We have 15 minutes.